Okay, so good morning everyone. For now, we're going to talk about genetic engineering, or also known as the recombinant DNA technology. So, first, what is genetic engineering? So, genetic engineering is the process of altering the genetic material of an organism to achieve desired traits or eliminate undesired ones. So, ibig sabihin, pag sinabing genetic engineering, we alter the genetic material of a specific organism para makuha natin yung desired traits natin or matanggal natin sa kanila yung mga hindi natin gusto or kinakailangan. It is also the deliberate modification of an organism's DNA using biotechnology techniques. So, ibig sabihin, minomodify natin yung DNA ng isang specific organism using biotechnology techniques. And also, it is the manipulation of organisms' genes like gene splicing, gene insertion, or gene deletion. So, those are the common types of genetic engineering techniques. And also, it is a scientific technique used to modify the hereditary information para ma-improve natin or ma-introduce to sa specific organisms na yon yung mga characteristics na gusto natin na mangyari or manifest doon sa mismong organism na ginawa natin ng modification. And lastly, it is the application of molecular biology tools to change the genetic structure of living organisms for three purposes or three common purposes. It is for either medical, agricultural, or industrial purposes. So now let's move with the CRISPR-Cas9. So what is CRISPR-Cas9? So CRISPR-Cas9 is a genome editing tool that allows scientists to precisely cut and modify DNA at specific locations in an organism's genome. So isa daw siyang tool na ginagamit para i-edit ang genes ng isang or ang genome ng isang organism in a specific location. So revolutionary technology siya, derived from a natural defense mechanism sa bacteria na ine-enable yung target editing of genes. It's either for research, medicine, and agriculture. So, gumagamit siya ng RNA and at the same time the Cas9 enzyme. So, doon nakuha yung pangalan niya to identify and cut specific DNA sequences facilitating genetic modifications. So, let's talk about the historical events in genetic engineering. So, first, we have the discovery of DNA structure. So in 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick, with contributions from Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins, discovered the double helix structure of DNA, laying the foundation for genetic engineering. Noon namang 1968 is na-discover yung tinatawag nating restriction enzymes. So this was discovered or identified by Werner Arber, Daniel Nathans, and Hamilton O. Smith. So, these restriction enzymes cuts DNA at specific sequences, becoming essential tools in genetic engineering. Now, noong namang 1971, Paul Berg conducted the first gene splicing experiment by combining DNA from two different organisms, paving the way for recombinant DNA technology. So, that's where the recombinant DNA technology term comes from. Then, the following year, 1972, Paul Berg, along with Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen, successfully created recombinant DNA by combining DNA from two sources, marking a breakthrough in genetic engineering. Now, noon namang 1978, so Genentech, so it is a patent, Genentech used recombinant DNA technology to produce human insulin. So it is the first genetically engineered drug approved for use. So alam naman natin na ang insulin is naturally pinoproduce ng ating pancreas. So this synthetic human insulin is targeted for those person with diabetes or merong problem sa pag-produce ng insulin ng kanilang pancreas. Now, in 1982, the FDA or the Food and Drug Administration approved genetically modified tobacco resistant to pests, paving the way for widespread adoption of GM or genetically modified crops in agriculture. So kagaya na sinabi natin kanina, hindi lang siya nakafocus pagdating sa medical purposes. So it can also be used for agricultural and industrial purposes. So ginamit yung genetic engineering para naman sa mga plants. So in this situation, tobacco yung ating ginamit na specific organism. So itong tobacco natin na genetically modified, this is resistant to pests. So imagine the cost-cutting technique na ginawa ng mga scientists na to, so you don't have to use any pesticides at all. So there's no chemical introduced doon sa ating organism, but rather pinalitan natin yung kanilang genetic sequence, or yung we use genetic engineering para maging resistant itong tobacco natin sa mga pest. Then next, in 1996, scientists at the Roslin Institute in Scotland successfully cloned Dolly. So kilala naman natin si Dolly. So it is the first mammal created through somatic cell nuclear transfer. So it is called Dolly the sheep, or simply Dolly, showcasing the potential of genetic manipulation. The next, in 2003, the sequencing of the entire human genome provided a detailed map of human DNA, enabling advancement in genetic research and engineering. So dito nag-conclude yung tinatawag nating Human Genome Project. Now, we're going to talk about the applications of genetic engineering. So first, we have medicine. So genetic engineering is ginagamit para makapag-produce tayo ng mga therapeutic proteins like insulin, gaya ng sabi ka natin kanina, as well as growth hormones, monoclonal antibodies, and syempre sa development ng ating vaccines. Pangalawa, sa gene therapy, so ini-employ ito para makagamot ng mga genetic disorder by correcting defective genes, or either mag-introduce tayo ng mga functional ones sa genome ng patient natin. Third is the agriculture. So nabanggit kanina si tobacco. So genetically modified crops, or GM, are engineered for improved yield, pest resistance, or di naman kaya kahit tagtuyot at matotolerate nila and mabubuhay sila, and syempre enhanced nutritional content. Number 4 is pharmaceutical. So ginagamit ang genetic engineering sa production ng antibiotics, vaccines, and bioengineered drugs para ma-enable yung genetically modified microorganisms natin. So kasagsagan ng COVID-19, so vaccines like Pfizer and Sanofi Pasteur and Moderna uses genetic engineering. Bale, ang ginagawa nila, ini-edit nila yung genetic sequence ng patay na COVID-19 virus. Then, yung patay na COVID-19 virus na yun with edited genes or edited genomes is ipinapasok or ini-introduce sa ating mga tao or sa ating organism. Therefore, tayo naman is magkakaroon na ng immunity dahil kilala na or identified na ng ating katawan kung ano yung COVID-19 virus na papasok sa katawan natin. Next is the bioremediation. So, ginagamit ang genetic engineering para makapag-create tayo ng mga organisms na makakapag-alis or makakapagtanggal ng mga pollutants natin like oil spills or di kaya heavy metals like mercury, lead, and something. So, ini-improve niya yung environmental cleanup efforts natin. So, meron tayong mga bacteria na genetically modified or genetically engineered para kumain naman ng mga plastic. So, alam naman natin na ang plastic is one of the world's problem pagdating sa degradation. So, matagal or simply hindi talaga nagde-degrade ang plastic. So, we engineered or we created organisms na kumakain naman ng plastic para maging environmental friendly naman siya or to improve nga yung environmental cleanup efforts natin. Next is the industrial biotechnology or industrial purposes. So, engineered microbes produce biofuels, enzymes, and other industrial products more efficiently and sustainably. So, meron tayong mga engineered microbes na yung kanilang byproduct kapag sila ay namatay or kanilang byproduct or waste product is nakakapag-produce naman ng mga biofuels and enzymes na nakakatulong sa industrial purposes natin. Next is the animal husbandry. So, ginagamit natin or ina-apply natin yung genetic engineering para ma-enhance yung traits ng ating livestock like disease resistance, faster growth rates, and improved milk or meat quality. So, for example, yung isang baka, sabihin natin kunwari na 10 taon bago siya fully mag-mature. So, pag nagkaroon tayo ng genetic engineering, mas mapapabilis yung 10 years na yun. So, from 10 years, we can lessen it into 8 years, 6 years, or lower. Then, syempre, yung improved milk or meat quality, syempre, pagdating sa quality ng meat natin, meron tayong mga sabi natin normal, and then katulad sabi ng Wagyu, ganyan. So, mas mapapataas natin yung quality ng meat na makukuha o maha-harvest natin pagdating sa mga animals ito like chicken, pig, cow, and so on and so forth. Next is forensic science. So, genetic engineering techniques like DNA fingerprinting. So, nagagamit natin to. Alam naman natin na pagdating sa DNA fingerprinting or di naman kaya yung, kunwari, sabihin natin, ako, nawawala tatay ko, tapos magkakaroon tayo ng DNA testing. Nagagamit yon. And syempre, hindi lang siya pagdating sa testing, nagagamit din siya sa pag-solve ng mga krimen or pag-identify natin ng mga individuals. And syempre, yun nga, yung biological relationships. Next is the synthetic biology. So, genetic engineering is used to design and construct new biological systems or organisms like artificial tissues and biosensors. Then, lastly, it is used in research. So, genetically engineered organisms such as transgenic mice are created to study disease para mapag-testingan natin ng mga bagong gawang mga drugs and understand na rin, syempre, yung functions ng ating genes. So, syempre, aside sa mga advantages ng genetic engineering natin, syempre, meron ding mag-a-arise dyan na controversies. First is yung ethical concern. So, sa ethical concerns, we have 5 examples here. First is designer babies. So, yung designer babies, nagiging controversy siya dahil, ayun na nga, parang yung normal state ng isang baby or ng isang embryo is ine-edit natin. Parang pinapalitan natin yung genetic sequence nila para makapagpasok tayo ng panibagong traits like intelligence. Gusto natin pag pinanganak sila, matalino sila. Or di kaya sa appearance, gusto natin pag panganak nila, kulay blue, kulay green, kulay pink yung mata nila. So, nagkakaroon yung tinatawag natin na designer babies. Number 2 is sa cloning. So, gaya ng in-example natin kanina, si Dolly the Sheep, nagkaroon din siya ng controversy. So, sabi nila, kung na-clone si Dolly the Sheep, it isn't possible na makapag-clone din tayo ng mga tao. And that sparked debate, syempre, kumbaga parang sa paniniwala natin or ng ibang tao is nabubuo ang isang tao through fertilization, the unity of egg cell and sperm cell. Pero, pwede rin tayo makapag-create ng another organism using nga ng cloning. And that sparked debates kung technically, ethically right ba siya or ethically wrong. Then, next is the gene doping. So, gene doping is the term used for the genetic engineering para ma-enhance yung athletic performance ng isang tao. For example, one of the fastest runner in the world, Usain Bolt, kung ginamitan siya ng gene doping, yung bilis niya, may possibility pa na mas bumilis siya lalo. Then lastly, second to the last, playing God. So the belief that humans shouldn't interfere with natural evolution or creation. Yun yung isa sa mga ethical concerns na nag-a-arise dahil daw ginawa tayo ng Diyos na ganito in this state. So parang hindi na natin kailangan baguhin yun dahil ito na yung binigay daw sa atin ng nakatataas, which is the scientists or some scientists disapproves with. Then lastly, consent issue. So, meron tayong mga ethical dilemma around editing genes na walang consent. So, hindi sila nabibigyan ng tamang consent. Next is the safety risk. So, allergenic GM foods. So, gaya na sinabi ko kanina, meron tayong mga genetically modified foods or crops. And those GMOs could introduce new allergens into diets. Then, next is unintended mutation. So, CRISPR-Cas9 edits may have off-target effects. So, syempre, yung mga tools natin used in technology, syempre, hindi naman natin maipagkakaila na maaaring magkaroon ng pagkakamali or hindi naman natin masasabing 100% precise and accurate si CRISPR-Cas9. So, it may have off-target effects. So, it might cause harmful mutations, yung mga hindi natin gustong mutation. Then, super weeds. So, meron tayong mga herbicide-resistant crops na pwedeng magbigay or mag-introduce sa mga weeds or sa mga grasses natin. So, they might resist or they might have resistance. So, madidisrupt nito yung ecosystem natin. Next is the horizontal gene transfer. So, modified genes could spread to non-target organisms. For example, magkatabi si corn and si carrot na itinanim natin. Si corn is genetically modified. Hindi naman natin target doon si carrot. But, with the horizontal gene transfer, si corn na genetically modified is pwede niya mapasa yung genes yung modified genes na yun sa carrot. So, hindi natin alam kung ano magiging outcomes nun. Hindi unpredictable kung tawagin. Maaaring si carrot is tumubo na parang corn or di naman kaya si carrot ay maglasang corn and so on and so forth. Then lastly is the long-term impact. So, insufficient understanding of the effects of genetic modifications over generations. Then next is the environmental concerns. So, pwedeng ma-disrupt yung ating food chain dahil dito. Dahil yung modified crops could affect pollinators like bees and butterflies. Then next, biodiversity loss. So, widespread GM crops may outcompete or displace native plant varieties. For example, natural mango. Hindi siya genetically modified. But when we engineered or when we edit the genetic sequence ng isang mango tree, makikulture siya. And with that, yung mga bunga nun, syempre, kasama na din doon yung genetically engineered na genetic sequence. So, pag tinanim natin yun, maaring sila yung mas madami. So, ma-outnumber nila or ma-displace nila yung pinaka-native plant varieties or yung pinaka-original. So, in these times, hindi natin sure kung genetically modified nga ba yung nakakain natin or hindi. 'Di ba? So, yun yung isa sa mga problem. Then next is the unintended species evolution. So, engineered genes might create invasive species or alter wild population. For example, si banana tree, genetically modified siya. So, kinakain siya ng mga monkey. And hindi natin sure kung si monkey ba makakakuha ng engineered genes na nilagay natin sa banana tree. So, it might evolve the species itself. Pwedeng magkaroon ng evolution ng monkey and so on. Then next is contamination. Crossbreeding between GM crops and wild plants could create hybrid organisms. So, gaya ng example ko kanina, si mango tree, kung alam niyo yung grafting, si mango tree na natural, pinutol natin yung sanga, nilagay natin yung sanga ng genetically engineered mango tree, it could create hybrid organisms or it could create hybrid fruits. Then next is the pesticide resistance. So, increased use of pesticides for GM crops may harm non-target species. Then next is the socio-economic issue, so patent control. So, meron ng mga companies like Monsanto na nag-own or nagmamay-ari ng mga patent sa mga genetically modified seeds, limiting farmers' autonomy. So, wala silang access pagdating doon dahil may mga patent control tayong tinatawag. Next is the economic inequality. So, the name suggests it all. Mas mayaman na bansa, mas nagbe-benefit sa genetic engineering technology. So, for Philippines, a third world country, hindi tayo masyado nagbe-benefit dito. So, mas nagbe-benefit dito yung mga mayayamang bansa. The next, farmer dependence. Farmers must repurchase GM seeds annually, increasing costs. So, annually silang bumibili ulit ng mga genetically modified seeds. So, mas mataas yung nagiging gastos ng ating mga farmers. Next is the access to technology. So, limited availability to technology and gene therapies for low-income populations. And lastly is the job losses. So, maaaring yung mga automation natin and genetically modified solutions will replace traditional agricultural or industrial roles. So, mabalik tayo kanina, sa tobacco is pesticide or pest resistance na. So, hindi na niya kailangan ng pesticide. So, paano naman yung mga nagtatrabaho as pesticide sprayer, 'di ba? Mawawalan sila ng trabaho. And last but not the least is the religious and cultural opposition. So, first, religious beliefs. So, there are many religions that oppose genetic manipulation. So, they view it as interfering with the God's will or divine will. Next is the cultural resistance to GM food. So, mas maraming mga societies ang mas gusto nila na, mas gusto ko natural kaysa GMO. 'Di ba? May mga ganun tayong culture. And stem cell research. So, sa stem cell research naman, may mga religious groups tayo na tumatanggi or ino-oppose yung embryonic stem cells for genetic engineering. Then next, animal modifications. So, objections to altering animal DNA for human benefit. For example, yun nga kay Dolly the sheep, they consider it as hindi tama. And for example, sa India, meron silang if I remember correctly, si cow is divine animal sa kanila. So, kapag pag-uusapan natin yung cloning of cow, sobrang mag-o-object sila pagdating doon. And lastly, si cloning. So, cloning of animals, and not only animals, but humans itself often faces cultural and moral opposition. So, doon pumapasok si ethical dilemma. Na, for example, mamamatay na si tao, then gusto mo pa siyang makasama. So, technically, you have to clone it or magkakaroon ng cloning na tinatawag. So, basically, kukuha ka ng cell dun sa tao na yun. And ikukulture siya, palalakihin, padadamihin yung mga cells na yun. So, kung iisipin, yung tao na namatay at yung kinuha at kinulture at pinalaki na cell or yung kinlone mismo is definitely the same. Kasi pareho lang naman sila ng genetic content, genetic sequence, and hindi naman nagkaroon ng genetic engineering or hindi naman nabago yung genetic sequence niya. So, iisa lang din sila. But, syempre, mayroon tayong mga religion and cultures na nag-o-oppose pagdating dito. And that's all for the genetic engineering and the recombinant DNA technology. Thank you.